And Order won it against Sydney Drop Bears, so I feel as though that is a bit of a telling kind of a situation. Drop Bears not looking so good this season. Mind Freak definitely looking good this season.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting from Order to see how they adapt to this DPS. Okay, so they are just going to drop down, bunker up in this hotel area. We really got to make sure that people like Jordation, Unta, Yuki don't get caught off here by the damage dealers. They need to just poke little Quaddy out there, throw all the resources on him, and stop them from taking the point. Adam does get headshot, but it wasn't fully charged.
Yeah, Jordation getting Dalsu. It's the second time actually. That happened on Paris as well, but finally the DPS composition starting to ramp up a little bit. Jewboy, the threat from one angle, Nami, the threat from another, and then Mini just dancing around on the inside of Order's composition, causing big issues. The concussion blast knocks Signed out of position and does give Nami a second opportunity for that headshot. This time he won't miss. And on the Widowmaker, Nami is definitely looking quite comfortable. I see a hack across for Jewboy, but not going to cause too many problems at all. And already we're up to 80% of that cap, and Order not really able to contest too easily at all. As soon as they try to leave that safety of the hotel, they die.
Yeah, and the big thing there was Signed going down, not building very much energy on that Zarya, and that's kind of the key that you need to repel these DPS compositions. When you're playing this 3-3 composition or the 3-2-1, you need your Zarya to be very high energy to make sure that anytime any hero tries to touch that point, gets in, they burn straight down. It's something that Order have worked on very, very well behind the scenes, and something that, they really are aware of how to prioritize it, but just not coming in there. They didn't have quads soaking up those rockets to get the energy for Signed.
It's allowed Ground Zero to push forward as well and take good, strong, solid, advanced positions in Phase B. Solo pushing very easily.
Order are going to retake from the high ground with this EMP. It kind of sets them up in a better position to use it, makes it a lot easier. But the Infrared comes out, and this will expose the backline of Order.
Well, EMP is nowhere to be seen, and Adam actually dies to the rocket barrage as well. So 2 for 1 at that point. You'll be fairly happy with that as Ground Zero, particularly given that the res can come across for Gunther if necessary. It doesn't seem as though that is going to be thrown in. It's going to be the mines that will be confirmed though, and now Signed is totally isolated. With the Bionade going on top of him, there's really not a whole chance of survival.
No, there's nothing to contest Nami in this fight. He just managed to sit up top. He picked off Unter during the fight too, which means that the mobility from Order is severely limited. And that was pretty much the end of it for me. They managed to get that 2-man barrage off at the start. Jewboy doing very well there, but this is the harder point to take. Now they have EMP, they have Graviton Surge. Order really need to get this point defended here so they can start, the defensive snowball.
Yeah, certainly. Adam lurking.
Ground Zero have swapped across now, yeah. They're going for the mirrored compositions essentially, which makes it's quite difficult now for Ground Zero to take this. They're going to have to give up a fight or two on these ults that Order have advantages on.
Well, you say that, but if Gus gets a good EMP, maybe there's something in there. Well, talking of good EMPs, there is a very nice one. It hits 5 players, and even though Adam has got his, he's just not going to be given the opportunity to use it. Gunther's managed to find 2 frags on the Lucio, no less. And that was a 1 ult fight, I think, for Ground Zero.
Oh, it was a disastrously executed fight for the side of Order. They get the Graviton Surge off. Okay, that's fine. That means you're going to initiate. Yuki holds the rally, so he doesn't get that defensive bonus. It allows his team to get in there and pop the damage into the Graviton Surge. So you don't like to see players getting caught by the EMP, like when they have their ultimates, especially Briggs on Rally and Anna's on the Nano Boost. But in comes Adam with his EMP now.
It's going to be one that Ground Zero can disengage quickly enough. Well, the rest did. Mini did not. There was the Nano Boost invested to try and keep him alive, but only so much you can do as a lone Reinhardt. So it's a fight win for Order, but I'm not prepared to really say that that was anything spectacular.
Yeah, they have a lot of time to defend here, and they've got to be playing very aggressive, and they need to use their ultimates correctly here. Gus always has another EMP, so Unter needs to be tracking this. Jordation needs to be tracking this. They need to be ready to use their abilities here, use their ultimates to counter this EMP.
It'll be just a matter of time. Translocator has been destroyed. An EMP will go through from Gus. He dives back into the safety of his team as his team dives into Order's frontline, really, but no kills coming across from that EMP. That's no good. Signed has charged a very quick Graviton Surge, and that certainly is good. I mean, he tagged up by the Bionade, but still survives somehow and is able to get the Shatter down. Now Cyan charge into a wall. There's a Shatter back across from Quartz. What on earth is going on in this fight? No one has died. Great usage of the support ultimates for Gunther. With the sound barrier, just not able to get it out in time to save Gus, which will be the end of the fight.
That was very well played from the side of the order supports there. A rally comes out early from Yuki, forcing Ground Zero to EMP into a rally, which is something he never really wanted to do. And then the beat drop comes out from the side of them, so Unter gets that beat drop off, doesn't get it cancelled by the EMP. But Jordation also hit the nano boost onto Quad, so as soon as he got EMP'd, which means that he's a lot more tanky, he has a lot more effective HP with that damage reduction. But now, Order needs to get big value off this EMP, needs to come out before the Graviton Surge. Gunther, it has the beat drop, but Adam knows this and hacks him.
Oh, here comes an EMP from Adam, of course, but he does drop. Nicely done from Gus. It's a 1 for 2, in fact, as the Bionade does touch a mini.
And we've seen Adam do this twice now, once on Paris and once on Kingsbury. Finding this Lucio, getting the manual hack on him when he has beat drop and then EMPing his team. That's really well played from Adam. Something not a lot of Sombras you see actually make that happen. In theory, it's perfect and you should try and do it every time, but it's something that's hard to make happen in practice.
Yeah, definitely. Cyan is going to be a little bit cheeky here, but almost gets caught off. Just to kind of throw the Graviton Surge in there. I'm not sure that was necessarily to plan, but it will burn the sound barrier from Gunther. Oh, what a shatter! Quartz is going to get all of them on the floor, and he gets his reward. 4 kills. Once again, Quartz has been able to do it.
That's what you want to see again on the other side of Order. They are rotating these ults perfectly at the moment, using the rally to keep everyone aggressive. Gets the shatter as well, like the big shatter. That's what we want to see from Quads. Something we saw on week 1. He was very good at it, but kind of disappeared over the last 2 weeks on the Reinhardt.
Well, that's a solid hold from Order, but Ground Zero still have a minute 16.
And Order will know they're at a big ult disadvantage now, so it's going to be interesting to see how they play this fight. Whether they go aggressive and try and burn some ults out, or just take the loss.
I think they're going to go aggressive here. Ground Zero. Mini does get a shatter down. I'm not sure that it necessarily connects too much. The Bionade did, and it'll be the end of Quartz as the heals cannot go across onto him. EMP is still 30% away for Adam as Order start to give ground, and Gus chasing him down as well. It's a 1v1 between the Sombras. Zero continue to push on forward. Yuki will try and get something done here, but he's going to be caught. Surely Nami will get that kill. Nicely done from Jordation to get that Bionade through into the Graviton Surge, but it's not really going to be enough to save side. EMP now across, and it does hit 5. But I don't think that that's really going to matter too much when there's no one alive for Order. And Ground Zero finally are able to push that one through. It took them a lot of fights in Phase C. But even to finish King's Row off at a point like that, with time available, I think is pretty respectable result.
Yeah, the cart was just in that awkward position for Order where they needed to take a fight, but they also, were in two minds of whether they could just kite it out. They ended up getting initiated on with ultimates by Ground Zero, so they were able to come in and, get that kill on Quads. And from there, the Order players are just trying to stagger out, which means the cart's moving at the same time, and they were just never able to regroup and, get that recontest off, that solid recontest. And that's a decent hold from Order. You don't like to have King's Row capped against you pretty much ever, but if you are, you're going to lose the first fights on both first and second, a lot of time, I think there's a 4-minute 30 time bank or something going into third of King's Row, so to manage to hold that to 30 seconds at the end, it's winnable for Order, and they do need to either win or draw this map, otherwise they are going to walk away with a series loss, and they can't afford that with their already poor record this season.
Yeah. Even a draw still sort of puts the onus on you to win 4 and 5. So I think that's less than ideal for Order.
But we did see improvements there. Jordation's Ana looked a little better than it did on the previous map, so he's warming up into the series too. Adam Sombra has been the most impressive thing out of the series so far.
The most impressive improvement, that's for sure.
Well, we started at a pretty low point on Nepal, but he looked better on Paris and on King's Road. Defense so far, so hopefully he can keep that up. They are looking to use him on the Sombra once more.
Ground Zero. Now it's their turn to show us what they've got on defense. Nami just backing away, ensuring he doesn't get hit by any of these stray tags. Will be detected, and that does mean he has to translocate on out. Difficult then for him to build the EMP up. So still allows a bit of a free, unhindered rotation out from Order.
Adam setting up behind, ready to get some free poke off. He's just to keep track of Dalsu here. Dalsu's in the window. Okay, so he jumps down into the protection of his team, but Adam's in a really nice position here to get this free poke off, maybe get a hack on the side. And with Order taking the opposite high ground, it means that Adam will be able to get supported from across the way by Jordation too. So now they have the defensive team exactly where they want him. He's going to look at his hack on Mini, but unfortunately his sensor's a bit too high as Gus tries to take the hack off it.
Yeah, but he's not going to have a fun time here regardless. Every single time the hack gets attempted, gets cancelled, but sooner or later it's going to happen. Mini is now totally cooked. Not a whole lot you can do there. Needed the backup of his teammates, but hack onto Gunther means that no speed boost available, no amplification on the heals, nothing like that.
Put a fork in Mini, he's done. Unfortunately gets picked off, getting pushed underneath the team of Order really, which means that there's lots of angles for you to get attacked. He gets the bio grenade onto him, and that's the end of him. Quat's charging very aggressively here, trying to catch some staggers. He'll see the brig, and that'll be it. There won't be any staggers by the looks of things. But Order, a little bit of an ult advantage here. Jordation with this nano boost, Adam with the EMP, Yuki with the rally is the big one actually. They could get a free fight win off this rally if they're really, really clever with it.
That could be the EMP if I'm honest.
I think it's looking to be the EMP shuttle this fight. Here it comes.
And it is confirmed quite nicely. Very well done from Order. That should be pretty quick through phase B now for them. It's a fairly straightforward way to push through the map. I wonder if Ground Zero can get back in position quickly enough. They might be able to actually.
Yeah, with the Sombra dying last, Sombra is obviously the quickest hero out of them. Maybe if Lucio hits some nice wall rides, but he is a bit quicker. But, they will be able to try and regroup here, and they probably should be able to get a fight off. And they'll have the big combo now. They'll have the EMP Earthshatter. So if they can execute this combo, it's a very hard combination to stop. Very, very hard to live through.
Yeah, plenty of time, in fact, actually, for Ground Zero. Order hadn't got the payload quite as far as I thought that they did. Now what is the name of the game? EMP, certainly, and Shatter as well. Exactly as you said, and exactly as Order did as well. However, it hasn't been confirmed quite as nicely. It was not converted into multiple kills, although it does just take a little bit longer for Ground Zero. They get the job done in the end.
Yeah, and it was nice out of Nami there. Obviously to get the big EMP into the Earthshadow, that's lovely, but he also manually hacks Yuki afterwards, so Yuki can't use that rally to re-stabilize his team if he wants to. They lost sign to the Earthshadow combination, meaning they can still turn the fight if they got that rally off, but Nami shutting that down with that manual hack is a very good job from him, and really good at identifying what players have ults at what moments.
Still leaves it available for the next fight. They're looking fairly even across the board, with both teams having Sound Barrier, Graviton Surge. Bit of a difference, minor difference, but no need from Dals, who doesn't really connect too much. It's a great sleep, as you say, onto Adam. Not really going to be able to do anything about it or anything with it, unfortunately. That really would have been a free pick if Ground Zero could have turned around, but they just didn't have the opportunity. Beat is available for Gunther, but is it even necessary as Ground Zero start to push their way on forward after getting the pick onto Quats? Adam down low, EMP does come across, Sound Barrier straight away. Great work from Gunther, just hiding away. And this time Adam won't get his manual hack onto the Lucio, but he does get the kill onto Mini, and maybe that's enough to push the payload through. 2 minutes and 34 seconds, so it's not dire straits.
Sign's kind of a big deal here. He's very high charge and he wants this kill. He gets the grab onto Gus. Dalsu caught in it too, but the sleep from Dalsu comes out again. It won't be enough to keep Gus alive. Will it? Yes, it will. Just. And now Order very close to capping this point out. This is the fight they need to win. Shatter and anti-nade comes through from the side of Ground Zero.
And now the Graviton Surge as well to follow up on that. Gus so low, he can't commit to the fight. In fact, he perhaps overcommits. Nami able to survive just up on top of the catwalk. And it really looked actually like Ground Zero was going to turn that around, but Order do finally finish it off. Wow. 3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes.
I suppose you'd be happy with that as Order, particularly given EMP Shadow is going to be up next fight, but...
This is very good ults from the side of Order, actually. They're going to have EMP Shadow for the next fight, and then after that, they should have Sign's Graviton Surge going into it. And Sign has been an absolute beast this map on this Zarya pick. Here it comes.
Oh.
EMP, they both mirrored.
Nami, I think they both got it off, actually, strangely enough. Regardless, it's going to be a better one for Ground Zero.
Yeah, Gunther again using the sound barrier there to keep the homies alive. Quad's unable to get the Shatter off as well. The Quad's Shatter really needed to come out there, but he obviously just gets hacked by Nami at the exact right time to stop the combination. So some good EMPs out of Nami so far. His Sombra's play has been quite good.
That was crazy though. Like I would have thought one of the two Sombras would have been cancelled by the other. But
yeah, it can be. It's almost like when Reinhardt's Earth Shatter each other. It can be quite deceptive.
You get the perfect timing to be able to get it off, I guess. Well, Stein is looking for a grab straight through the shield, and he's going to catch 3 players inside of it. There's, of course, no Transcendence right now for Ground Zero, but it's a 1-for-1 Gust, however, the player to go down. We don't want to be losing your Zarya in a situation like that, but if it's a 2-for-1 trade, well, you'll certainly be happy now as Ground Zero, as they can push on the offensive. Duboy will do just that, shield bashing straight in toward Unta. Does finish him off with the left click, and it's time to disappear once again for Order.
Yeah, and now Ground Zero have that combination of the EMP Earthshatter, and there's nothing to stop them on the side of Order. They need a little bit of a miracle here. Maybe Sign dodges it and uses his projected barrier to block the Earthshatter on Quartz, but this is going to be very difficult.
EMP from Nami, Shatter down, as you say, very difficult for Order. Not a whole lot they could do in that fight. Even the one pick that they get off of it, Ground Zero, while it's not a full team wipe or anything like that, it's just enough to push Order back again. And
the problem is they're not building ults on the side of Order with these fights. You know, they're so quick. They're just, you know, one kill and then everyone's backing out, everyone's over. So they're not building enough ultimates on the side of Order really to get their own momentum swinging into this.
Grab here, he's going to throw it straight on in. Good attempt from Ground Zero to finish it off early, but that's all it's going to be. It's just an attempt. An EMP across now from Adam. The counter engage from Order is looking to be quite strong indeed. Quats, does he even need the shatter? Look like he does.
Quats is doing a good job there of blocking off Dalsu and his healing as well as his grenade, but he does get 180 slept by Dalsu too after knocking him to the high ground, so probably a little thank you there from Dalsu, saving his life. But now Order, we've seen them get very aggressive here, not letting teams out of these chokeholds. Ground Zero don't really have any ultimates to use, and Quats is going in.
Well, Ground Zero is going to want to try and hold on as long as possible. That is a fantastic shatter. Again, at the 11th hour, it's always Quats for Order, isn't it? And that is surely going to mark the end of the map. I can't believe it. How does he get that off?
Oh, it was a good setup again by the side of Order. You know, they're getting their players in there, they're getting Yuki in there, Unter in there. Should, you know, displace the enemy Reinhardt, negate the shield, and set Quats up. So they're doing a really good job at setting Quats up with these EMPs and with these bashes and such. But they, and only a 6-second advantage for Order. This series has been so close.
I mean, 6 seconds is fairly negligible, to be honest, but
are we going to see another draw, Jordan? Is this going to be one of these series that goes to the 5th map?
I would like it.
Oh, I would love it.
If it was a draw here, actually, because that just puts so much onus importance on Dorado.
It really is for, oh, not all the money, I guess, for Dorado, but it's, you know, a very, very important map. It looks like Ground Zero. Are they going to lock in the DPS heroes? They did it on the first attack, and it really exploited some ill-disciplined play from the side of Order, getting picked off, not really using their heroes to an effective way. You know, they're not ticking off the little goals that they would be setting themselves when they're versing this DPS composition of, you know, getting signed energy, pushing out together, isolating targets. They didn't do that at all in the first round. So let's see if they can go back to their ways, go back to their roots, and start doing that in this defensive round.
Definitely shaping up to be a pretty explosive finish to King's Row. Maybe Rocket Barrage could be that, if we were to go with the more literal meaning.
That certainly would be an explosive way to finish things off. And Adam actually gets hacked
no
by Gus. It's a disastrous start for the side of Order. They really need him to, you know, divert this attention away from the front line.
You know what's best as well is that's going to give Gus so much time here to build his own EMP. So if, and more likely at this point, when Ground Zero, oh, Nami, he's doing so much damage. When Ground Zero cap this point out, I'm fairly safe to say that at this point, we're going to have an EMP advantage for Ground Zero. They're pushing in overtime on that cart. They may well actually be able to push through to at least point B here. Off the back of their ultimate advantage.
Jordation getting hacked there as well. And then straight into a headshot straight away by Nami. And very dangerous signs from the sides of Order. Oh, I can't believe Adam gets manually hacked there. That's really well done by Gus, though, to know that, hey, their Sombra was up here last time. He's going to play here again. You know, let's wait for him, hack him, and then kill him. So well done from the side of Ground Zero to adapt on the fly.
Nami as well. The recontest from Order straight onto the point. Perhaps a little earlier than Ground Zero would have liked, but that's really what you need to be doing as Order. Difficulty is going to be, if they're trading 1-for-1 here, they may actually give up a fight, and a lot of ultimate charge as well to Ground Zero. So it sort of feels like a must-win last-ditch effort. EMP thrown in from Adam, and it might well actually work out here for Order. I don't think Ground Zero was prepared for that at all. They couldn't get the touch. And for all the talk of the ultimate advantage, Ground Zero. It just does not matter.
No, it didn't, and that was all set up at the start of that fight. Jordation gets a big biotic grenade onto the enemy Ana, onto the enemy Lucio. Quads is managing, he swaps to the Winston, gets in there and managed to finish them both off pretty much. Yep. And that really sets the fight up for Order to win. And no draw, it's going to be very hard to get a draw here, so it's going to be all or nothing for Order here. They need to get this attack and they need to get this map.
Well, I think the objective really for Ground Zero was holding point A. You know, you can't expect to hold the payload in a position like that.
No, most certainly not.
Yeah, it's really all or nothing for both teams at this point.
That is a very small push too. Yeah. Not even off the square. But well done on the side of Ground Zero for taking that time to, you know, flush out that Sombra, really punish, you know, the repeating patterns from these players.
A lot of pressure on Order now though. It's 1 minute and 6 seconds and their series could be done. This could be 2-0 for Ground Zero with one map to play and then there's nothing Order can do about it. At least for Ground Zero, they can still win on Dorado.
That's true. It's interesting because Order went for a long rotation the first time they attacked, right? That's a rotation that takes, you know, 20-30 seconds off the clock. So it's kind of hard to do in these overtime situations. Maybe they'll only be able to get that off once and then maybe have a fight where they kind of spew in onto the point if they ended up losing that one. Interesting to see how they path and how they choose to move around the map. Yeah. It does look like the Ground Zero are going to start off on the high ground too. Maybe get some early poke in. Adam playing around the back. Exactly the same as we saw last time. Looks like Order just going to come through the hotel and try and post up on point.
Sloan said he wins the race. Adam unfortunately hasn't been able to get any ultimate charge. Neither has Nami, to be fair, so it's fairly even in that respect. Now the commitment comes in from Quads, bubbles across onto Mini. This is looking good for Order. A lot of damage done, but the Bionades come through, and that might be the difference once again. Sign is 1 HP, he'll fall, and Dalsu is just such an absolute animal on the Ana. Look, I'm getting absolutely...
Yeah, he hits 3.
I'm cooked. I'm cooked.
He cooked?
But Dalsu's cooked on the Ana, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, he's been absolutely massive.
That was a lost fight for Ground Zero until that Bionade comes through. Anyway, maybe still winnable now for Order as they have 2 seconds to get on the point. They're going to secure overtime. That much is sure. Oh, Adam's been picked. He's been hacked. That was a great sleep, but it is a 1-for-1. Duboy will go down, and he was the player that almost had an ult. He has the rally, 99%. You can see it ticking over now. Shadow won't connect from Quads. Maybe Minis will. He has the chance, and Sign is going to be on the floor. Sign is going to be dead as he slams into the tree. Great work from Mini, and a player advantage now for Ground Zero as Duboy finally returns to the fight with that rally. This is going to be the series over. Quads with the nano boost. He's not going to be able to do enough. Surely not this time. Surely not once again. Even with the EMP from Ground Zero, hitting all 4 players onto them. Adam, unfortunately, again, I just don't think it's going to be quite enough here. But Order, they do have the spawn advantage. The 1-for-1 trades. Nami getting 2, Duboy another, and that finally is it. Ground Zero, they gave me a little bit of a scare there. I thought maybe with that EMP from Adam, he was going to be able to turn it around, but it just was not enough.
No, it was just not enough, and it was so close. Quads actually gets his shot of Shadow blocked there by the shield of Mini as he tries for a cute little 180, you know, just surprise Mini, but it just doesn't come off. And then he splits to the side. Mini gets the Shadow on sign, and that's it. You can't win. That Zari's down. It's going to be very hard to come back from that. And what a series that this has been, though. It's such a tight series. At the start of the day, probably wouldn't have expected it to be so tight. I know I didn't. No. I expected Order to come through, but Ground Zero really showing their little star potential on players like Nami on the Sombra played very well. Ana from Dalsu, very good. And even Mini has had a really nice series.
Oh yeah,
really
Mini's had a super solid series, that's for sure. I mean, just across the board, big plays from both sides, really. Lots of Shadows have been on point as usual. EMPs have been pretty good on both sides for the most part. Well, does mean it's a 2-0 for Ground Zero, and what a big win that is for them as well. When it's one of your major competitors in the season. You're both sitting at 2-1. Going into this series, there was a 1 map differential favoring Ground Zero. Well, now there's a series differential, plus 2 maps, or plus 3 maps technically, maybe even plus 4 maps if they're able to win Dorado as well. It doesn't necessarily mark the end of the season for Order, but I think it might well mark the end of the race for 2nd place.
Yeah, they'll be up against it now. It's getting 2nd place with already dropping 2 series, especially to Athletico and Ground Zero now.
And they've still got tough teams ahead of them. They've still got to face Mind Freak. They've still got to face Warriors.
They do. They still have those 2 tough matchups. So it's a season of A season you'd like to forget so far if you're an Order fan, but they've got to keep going. They've got to get this last map. This last map is very important for them still because the map differential, as we've always been mentioning, very, very important in this tournament.
Yeah, certainly is. Well, Dorado is going to be that map, and just looking back at the stats from when they both last played it, neither team actually won on Dorado, so someone's going to finally break that drought. But that said, Ground Zero have broken their drought on Kings Row. They've got to win on that now, and Order, well, it is, as you said, the Kings Row hasn't been a map for them that's necessarily been too favourable, and once again, that rears its ugly head. Yeah,
it hasn't been a friendly map for a very long time, but I thought they were going to be able to get it. I thought they were going to be able to get it on that push. Unfortunately, Adam gets left into hack. They get the trade, but it's just a little disadvantage. And Dalsu hitting those big buy grenades all series continues to do it.
Yeah, I think also the shadow from Mini being able to finish off Signed, such a big part of that particular fight as well. Quats just sort of got isolated around the side, and it sort of opened the door really for Mini, who he knew Quats had already shattered as well. So there was really nothing to stop Mini from getting that shatter down and I guess getting the win on the board there for Ground Zero. So 2-0, we do still have to play Dorado, but at least we're confirmed not going on to Busan.
Stay off Busan for now. Maybe in the next series we can go to Busan.
Maybe. I don't know about that though. Mind Freak and Legacy, I don't think that's going to 5.
Legacy went good last week. Yeah, you never know.
Perhaps.
Was it Legacy going well, or is Order just a weaker team now?
Well, I think I have to say at this point, Order's a weaker team, right? Like if they lost, if they lost 1 week to, or went 3-2 1 week against Legacy, you can kind of brush that one off in a way. But to lose to Atletico, to only 2-1 Sydney Drop Bears, who, to be fair, are not looking that great anymore either. No. And then to only 3-2 Legacy, and now to have lost to Ground Zero too. Like, there is a constant in all of these matches.
Yeah, there
and that's
is.
Order.
It's something that you can't ignore, really, now.
Yeah, like, 1 or 2 weeks, you can kind of brush it off, be like, okay, it's a poor start to the season, you know, whatever. This is 4 weeks now in a row for Order, where they haven't got it together. They're the reigning champions last season. It didn't look like anyone was really coming close to them.
No. Especially towards the end of the season.
Towards the end of the season, sure.
Super ridiculous.
And it's the exact same team, so tell me.
Well, you never know. Bit of meta change. They'll get into it. It is actually a thing that we've a lot of people have noted throughout the iterations of the Order rosters. This core roster of the 3 players. Every time a meta change has come about, it's been a slow adaptation process from these players. So it isn't unheard of that Order go through a meta change and aren't exactly the first to adapt, but this has taken longer than we all expected. And looks like it'll be a pretty standard compositions here coming out on Dorado. The Sombra Goats for the side of Order, Ground Zero the same, except they're choosing the Winston for this defense. They will be holding early, which is something that teams shied away from recently, actually. Usually you can get 2 really nice fights in here if you get a lot of time off the clock at this red build. Mini getting hacked.
And then followed up by a Bionade and a Shield Bash. There's just no way that Mini's going to survive there. The rest of his team on the high ground, they're going to try and commit to a fight here. Jordation was bashed on up, but he's suffered too many difficulties. He's got the heals from his teammates. That's a pretty straightforward fight for Order. I think now with the loss from Order in this series, it might be time to bring up what I spoke with Hunter about last week. And I can't remember what he messaged me about, but we were just having a bit of a chat. And he told me that he shaved his mustache off. So I sort of thought, well, with no mustache, there goes the power of Order.
Yeah, so I mean, that's not the cleverest play from young Hunter there, I think.
2 and 2 together. I mean, what's changed, right? Not the team composition.
No, and Adam's going to come out with a big EMP here, very early too. Hits 4 players and Order are going to spew in and pile in, but the Nano Boost keeps Mini alive.
Army's hanging around in the backline as well. Will translocate out, but buys the time away from Quats that allows Mini to get under. And Ground Zero, they start to hold strong here on point A. It's a nice shadow from Quats, but is it going to be enough to find some picks? Well, the sleep is going to help out for Ground Zero, but maybe not enough. Signed, Adam, Yuki, they're all on the board. Signed's got 2.
Fast take here from the side of Order, showing a little bit more aggression too. They look like they're playing a lot faster, a lot looser, which is nice to see, because when this team is playing at its best, they are playing very, very fast and aggressive, especially with Quads and Signed.
Yeah, I guess you're at the point now where Order's kind of like, well, whatever, we'll just do whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Now we see the Reinhardt from Mini. We saw him last fight getting that pin on Hunter. It's very, very close on the old Earth Shatter, so maybe they're going to set up for this Earth Shatter EMP combos. Signed gets booped around there.
Yeah, Jupo was trying to boop him, jumped off. the Graviton Surge is going to be quite easy to hit for him here. Does connect onto the 2 tanks, I think it was, but Sign now has been hacked himself, and he got the Bionade right on top of him, so this fight has very quickly turned back around in the favor of Ground Zero.
Yeah, now Ground Zero are in the prime position to set us up with the spawn camp. This is a position where you can get spawn camped very, very easily. Jordation doesn't quite get back into spawn, but so Sign throws the grab out there, but it's a really nice EMP from the side of Ground Zero to counteract. It means that Order can't really follow up on that Graviton Surge at all. Sign gets anti-nated, and his shield dispelled by the EMP, so you know he goes down pretty quickly. And so an EMP waste, not an EMP waste, a grab waste.
EMP does hit 3. First pick of the fight does go the way of Ground Zero. Mini will drop in response. I think at this point you'd probably rather have your Reinhardt than your Sombra, especially after the EMP did go through from Adam. So that's a favourable fight, even despite it being a 1-for-1. Who's caught there? Duboy, what's he doing there?
Just stalling out the card, I believe, as his teammates try and run away. But now Ground Zero has massive ult bank, actually. Nami's built this EMP rather quickly. But if Order play the high grounds here, if they play them properly, then they can really avoid getting hit by these big teamfight ultimates.
There's no one there, Mini.
Just checking.
Just in case.
Adam's being a bit cheeky, a bit pesky on this Sombra, so you know, you can get that lucky pin.
Well, we talked about the high ground. That's now in possession of Ground Zero. EMP is available for Nami. Looking for it, that's for sure.
They are very split up on the side of Order, so it can be quite difficult to go here.
Almost gets the hack onto Quad. It's certainly a bit easier when the EMP is infested, and it is. Shadow doesn't go through this time. Mini not able to get anyone on the floor this time. A little uncharacteristic miss. It's been very good this series, but that may well actually mean now it's going to be much more difficult for Ground Zero to hold on to point B. 1-for-1. Adam falls to his counterpart. Ground Zero was thrown in from Gust as well. Now Science is going to come on through. Duboy survived courtesy of the external shield from Gust, but the Reinhardt shatter from Quats is good once again. Sound barrier down from Ground Zero. Too late, of course, to save Dalsu, but enough to allow them to push forward onto Quats. And he'll be hacked up and go down. EMP now from Adam. Charge back on up. That is the nail in the coffin for Ground Zero.
A long fight. Both teams not really getting a lot of ultimates. You know, Science Graviton Surge doesn't net a kill. The EMP Shadow doesn't net a kill from the side of Ground Zero. Like, very messy fight. But now, Order pushing these staggered spawns. Get Mini lost in the source. Will manage to get out with the side of our... Yes, Dalsu's Ana is managed to keep him alive there. And now they have Graviton Surge. Now they have EMP coming up closer on the side of Ground Zero. This could be quite hard for Order to push.
They sort of said that about point B as well. Oh dear. That's a bit unlucky for Nami.
Yeah, I reckon Jordation just missed a shot on the side and hit Nami instead. A bit of luck.
Sounds about right, knowing Jordation.
Yeah, very lucky player, Jordation.
I was just going to say he can't aim.
Ah, well, yeah. He did play DPS for 2 seasons, but it was Tracy. So.
Well, there's a Graviton Surge. That one's from Sign, and a second to follow from Gus. Whose is better? Well, you tell me. It looks like the scoreboard is going to say Ground Zero is a little more impactful. Nami doesn't quite get up onto the high ground. But still able to get a hack onto Unter, and, well, now Unter is just a guy. It's really unfortunate. I don't like getting hacked on, Lucio.
No, you turn into a pedestrian, and you don't really want to be a pedestrian in this Overwatch universe.
Come on.
Sign getting taken out
Yeah.
very brutally there. Nami now has EMP. Adam still building his. Not a lot to go with it for the side of Order. Got some defensive ults on the ways, but not a lot to do the killing with. And you need the buttons to do the killing to win the maps.
Sounds about right. Solid analysis from your boy.
So they pay me the bucks.
Ex-professional player, Smash.
Yep.
Floor Lucio.
Yep. Very flawless here. I want to see some more Mercy gameplay out of these teams, actually.
Mercy Bar, sounds good to me.
I thought I'd see more out of Ground Zero, but unfortunately not.
How about an EMP? Do you like those? Because we've got one. Nami connecting onto a couple. Shatter is going to be enabled courtesy of the hacks across onto Quats, and that'll mean Quats' death. Su's just dancing around in the back line. That sleep dart not quite up to scratch as far as Dalsu is concerned, but still the fight is won by Ground Zero. They're doing a good job of holding here. Only a minute left on that clock now for Order, so probably one fight territory, knowing how far the spawn room is away from point C on Dorado.
Yeah, and this has been a really nice hold from Ground Zero. They're using every angle that they can as defenders pretty well. They're using the high grounds well. You know, they're not getting pushed off those high grounds. And if they do get pushed off the high grounds, they're playing in areas that can be easily defended.
They have been pushed off the high ground there, I suppose. Both Reinhardts do knock each other down, but Quats is going to suffer the bigger loss. Signed with the Graviton Surge. It's going to mean Dubois will fall, but now there is a response from Gust, and it certainly isn't looking like a fun one from Order. But with that said, somehow Mini dies before the charge actually connects onto the wall, and Order are winning the fight.
Yeah, and they've been pushing this cart this whole time, so now it's going to get very close to the end of the map before Ground Zero can get a recontest in. They are getting close on this EMP, but Adam has his, so if he doesn't get caught and he's managed to lay it up now, this could be the end of the map.
Not sure about that translocator from Adam, but he does get the EMP across, and that really is all that he needed to do. The map is completed by Order. It's a hollow victory, though, of course, as the series is still going to go the way of Ground Zero, regardless of the result here, but no time available, so it's not the scariest of times for Ground Zero at this point, but they certainly will want the 3-0.
Yeah, they certainly will be backing themselves in to get it too. You know, it's been a close series. You know, they've both finished the maps on Paris and Kings Row. So, I mean, we're going to see another finish here for Ground Zero. We're going to see another overtime push out of these two teams.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. But, I mean, it's again consistent. You just see, as soon as Quats gets counterpinned by Mini, the Biotic Grenade comes out from Dalsu. Means Quads is anti-healed, means he goes down first in the fights. This is stuff that's happening considerably more on the side of Ground Zero than it is on the side of Order. Maybe Order aren't saving their external bubble for this pin or this nade, or maybe they're not prospecting it enough, but either way they're getting punished a lot on this Reinhardt versus Reinhardt. And I don't feel like a lot of it is Quats' fault.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
What does that say? What does that tell you? Data there.
Something about the synchronization of the Del and Nucleo power plant. Lots of arrows going up and down. Dubois dancing on Brigitte randomly turns into a Pharah. He'll be much happier with that pick.
I'm sure.
But now we see Order holding close with the Winston Sombra. And Ground Zero having a lot of DPS here is picked.
The triple DPS, Mini's going to swap over to Wrecking Ball. Jordation's playing with fire there.
Don't pick your head out there, Jordation. You'll lose it.
Especially not when you're holding right click down.
No, that's
Very,
not
very
what
slow.
you want to be doing.
Slow to move.
But now Order go in. They're going to try and force out this ball that does get hacked. But Jordation's taken Dubois out as the Mercy had to leave him to go heal the Wrecking Ball. Good start from the side of Order.
Indeed. The more time you can buy in a position like this, the easier it makes holding point A under the bridge when you have ultimate. So Mini's going to, again, attempt to get up onto the high ground, but it's going to be quite difficult, I think, to dislodge Hunter and Quats, and if they do, inevitably, then, well, Hunter and Quats can jump straight back on up. The bubble across there for Quats, again, meaning that Mini's dive onto the high ground is not going to be too effective, but Nami finally opening up a pick, and there's a second. It just seems to go that way when you're a Widowmaker, doesn't it? Once you hit the first, it's like, well, now I'm on a roll, better hit the second too.
Yeah, it's one of those series that, you know, you're feeling yourself, it becomes a lot easier. And Nami is quite a sharp Widowmaker player as he takes off Hunter's head in the start of the fight. Follows it up with a kill on Adam too, so that's a good start. And this DPS composition can snowball through first and most of second pretty quickly. So if Order don't get it together relatively soon, they could find themselves with a big time bank to verse.
The hack just went on to Jordation there. Yeah, it did.
He manages to get the nano boost onto the important target of Hunter though.
Oh, well, that's always what you want to see. Two boys are waiting for an opportunity to rocket barrage. You can see the tantalizing group of players right below him on the stairs there. Nano boost is going to come across, but the hack is so good. Oh my god, Dubois just falls from the sky, and there's no chance at all of the rocket barrage, of course.
Jordation might have fluffed his ult, but Adam certainly didn't. Got the nano boost onto the Pharah, but it's before Dubois could even get himself into position to barrage. He gets EMP'd and taken out. He gets shield bashed there. So it's pretty rare to see a Pharah get shield bashed, but it happened.
It's like double tap. You just got to make sure he's dead.
Yeah, certainly making sure that that nano boosted Pharah gets taken out very quickly before he explodes everybody. But now, Ground Zero swap onto the Goats composition. Gus getting some back cap here. Hunter will go sort him out. No longer nano boosted though.
Maybe there's another one headed in this direction. 71% for Jordation, who is also not hacked up, but Sign and Hunter are. They both got hit by the Bionade, but somehow they're going to be alive. I do not believe it. Order kept themselves in this one for the moment. Yuki, however, will drop. Quats is pretty low. Gunther just not going to go down. It seems like a fight of just and almost for both teams. Adam does confirm himself with an EMP, and that actually finally might actually confirm the fight win for Order. It took them a while, it took them longer than expected perhaps.
Yeah, the nano boost goes on to Sign as soon as Adam drops that EMP, and he goes absolutely sicko mode, building a lot of ultimate charge there after using the Graviton Surge at the start of the fight. And this is getting a bit risky now from the side of Ground Zero. There are 36 seconds left.
Fourth map curse.
Fourth map curse indeed. Maybe Order have finally woken up. Could have been a late night.
Bit too late, unfortunately. Yeah. I don't know. Starting series at 2 PM, that doesn't seem too early to me, and I'm a bit of a night owl as well.
Yeah, you might be able to say yeah.
Look at the situation now. Order's got not a single ultimate, and Ground Zero have got 3 to play with. One already invested in, which is the rally. Quats goes down early as well, which is obviously not the start that Order needed if they were somehow going to find a way to win this fight. So it just seems as though Ground Zero hung on long enough that they do find the advantageous fight.
Now the overtime spawns for the side of Order means they'll be respawning even slower. So Ground Zero can get some decent push here off this side of this. They should be able to get it into 2-fight territory. They should get all the way to this corner and free push actually. And Order still really dry on ultimates. Ground Zero only had to use the 2 there to win that fight. I think Quads found himself in a really rough position at the start of that fight too. Gave himself up for free essentially, and that leads to, you know, the enemy team not using as many ultimates to kill the rest of your team. So unfortunate there from the positioning of Order.
Well, we sort of restore a bit of equilibrium at the very least. Order do have some ults to play with. Not going to let any hacking shenanigans happen. Oh, I lie, he does actually, but Adam's not really in position to take advantage of that with the EMP, and what a great EMP from Gus. That hits 6 players. Quats goes down early. Mini traded out though, so by and large, actually, that's a pretty favourable trade for Order, particularly given they have their own EMP in the back pocket, which Adam has just thrown on in, and that means, well, Ground Zero, they just were not able to capitalise on the advantages that they had.
Yeah, that was very well done from Adam again. Mate gets the manual hack on the Lucio. It maybe took a little longer than he expected, but as soon as that manual hack does come out and it goes through, Sign jumps off the top rope with the Graviton Surge, forcing a reaction out of the side of Ground Zero. They can't get sound barrier, but, you know, they get Mini in, and he ends up getting the first kill of the fight, but puts himself in an awful position. It means he goes down, fight win for Order.
Solid fight win as well. Not too costly, we still have some ultimates available. Nami is one of those. Bionade went through there from downstream. Not sure if it connected. Doesn't look like it has. Gunther will drop. So will quite a few of the Ground Zero players. Order are really putting on a bit of a masterclass here on Dorado. Where was this Order all season long?
I couldn't tell you, mate. I couldn't tell you. But better late than never. They're looking a lot more comfortable playing this high ground, you know, rotating their ults this way. They've seemed to be making the fight plans very correctly, and that's something that Order hasn't done this series at all so far. Yeah. Looks like Adam's going to have another EMP here too.
Hard to believe that Order can lose from here with an EMP shatter available, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. Quads, Adam, combining to perfection. We've been playing together for a long time, so you would expect no less. Now 7 seconds here for Ground Zero. It will be an absolute miracle if they can even get onto the cart.
Yeah, Gus will not get the touch, and that will be the map for Order. They do manage to salvage something out of this series, but at the end of the day, Ground Zero walking away with the series win, something I wouldn't have expected at the start of the day, and again, Order slipping further and down those rankings.
I think you'd be a bit disappointed there as Ground Zero to lose the last map, but in the context of everything, that is a huge, huge win for Ground Zero. And that solidly puts them within the top 4. In fact, I think now, again, they're one of the 2 teams that have played this week, but they would be second place now, going 3-1. There's possibilities for the likes of Mind Freak to do the same, and they probably will do the same up against Legacy next. But you know that means that a team obviously like Order is down 2-2. Sydney Drop Bears is already 1 and 2, so they're going to have to try and claw their way back into it. So the big dogs, the two teams that were in the grand final last season, are not even close to potentially even getting to the season finals at this point.
Certainly be a long uphill climb for those two teams to get back to the season final. This season, it's at the Melbourne Esports Open as well. Something especially Order do love that event. You know, they are a Melbourne-based team, and for them not to be there, it's a bit shocking. But they still have a lot of time left. Well, not a lot of time, but they still have a fair amount of time, I'd say, to get their stuff back together. And if this data is anything to go by, it looks a little better than at the start of the day.
Yeah, there's 3 weeks left in this season, so best case scenario, 5-2.
I think they definitely need to go 3 for 3. I mean, if they lose to the Warriors, it will become very, very difficult because they might get seeded in the same side of the bracket as the Warriors in the playoffs, and then it becomes, you know, a real uphill battle to get through.
Yes, that's how Boys feeling right now as well. I'm sure everyone on Ground Zero is feeling pretty keen on that result. I suppose as Ground Zero, again, you probably would have wanted a 3-0 or a 4-0 if, I mean, ideally, obviously, but to even get a win over Order at this point in the season is such a massive boon for Ground Zero. I mean, that said, the job's not really done yet for them. They've still got Warriors ahead. They've had to deal with Mindfreak already, who they lost to. They've beaten Order, so there's 2 of the bigger ones gone. But Warriors and Sydney Drop Bears, again, you know, Sydney Drop Bears not looking so great, but I kind of still get that sense that there is maybe something left in the tank for Sydney Drop Bears that we might see later on in the season. So, I don't know. It's looking pretty good for Ground Zero at this point. Well, I think they're pretty much locked into playoffs at the very least. But to make a good placing in playoffs, even the race for second place is on the cards for Ground Zero now. Yeah,
it certainly is, especially if they can get a good series versus Warriors, or maybe they can get a
good... if they get a good series against Warriors, they may be in the race for first place.
Well, that's true, but it'll be good to see, and now we just have to look forward to see what if Mindfreak can come in and get the second place. You know, they've got Legacy to deal with, a prickly team. They've shown a lot of good results versus a lot of teams, so especially the first few weeks of, you know, taking a map off Warriors, taking 2 maps off Order. Who did they take the other map off? Sydney Drop Bears, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was Warriors.
It was, yeah. So, I mean, they've taken a lot of maps, so no slouches, no pushovers.
Well, before we get there, Smash, I know you've been waiting all day for this one. It's our Macca's Play of the Game. It's Order and Ground Zero, and the Macca's Play of the Game, of course, is going to be Quartz once again with an Earth Shatter, though you do, I think, have to give a bit of credit for the rest of the team there, setting it up for him. Very nicely done.
Yeah, this was in their big defense that they took into third point. They really saved the map for them, or could have saved the map for them if they were just a little bit better on the overtime attack. But that's that is a big Macca's play of the game too. And we've seen from Adam and Quads, they've been setting up still pretty well. I mean, yeah, the Order roster hasn't looked great in total, but Adam and Quads have still been some shining lights for them, especially Adam. Although he had a rough on the pole, Village, probably one to forget. His series overall was probably the best player on that team.
Well, maybe he's going to need to be in the next few weeks as well, but we have more games to discuss today, Smash, than just Order and Ground Zero. It's Legacy and Mindfreak coming up next. Now, it's another opportunity for another team that's at 2-1 to secure a pretty solid place in the top 4 kind of area, and probably to secure their place in playoffs as well. We would theorize with a win here for Mindfreak, and we're kind of getting to the point now for Legacy where it is looking like this may be their last sort of opportunities to get into playoffs. In theory, you need 2 wins. And Legacy's currently winless. They've got a lot of maps on the board, but maps don't get you the playoffs placing.
Yeah, they're running out of series to win, essentially. I think that this is a series that they could look to take more maps off. Getting a whole series win, it looks a bit grim, but they did go well versus Order. They've been here. They've been in the conversation. They haven't been blown out of the water by any team that they've versed. So there's possibilities. And I mean, Mindfreak, they are an up and down team. They have some very good players, and they've shown some very good games this season so far. But I'm still not sure if they're top tier caliber team, or if they're just kind of floating in the middle with some highs and lows.
I have to agree with you, but there's definitely more pressure, I would say, on Legacy at this point than there is on Mindfreak. Anyway, that is our next series. We're going to head to a quick break. Don't go anywhere though. Legacy, Mindfreak up after this.